The greatest disaster in Disney history just happened.
The Marvels is said to be Disney and Marvel's latest disaster. With the film having such poor reception, The Marvels is now running a $22 discount, bringing the movie's ticket price down to $2.38.
Crazy.
It's been clear for a while now that the once great Marvel has been slowly crumbling along with Disney's other IPs. Disney has lost nearly $1 billion in films in 2023 alone.
Disney has not lost $1 billion in the box office. Disney has lost more than $2.3 billion, and that was 2 months ago at this point. Disney never represents their film budgets properly. They always underplay it. So when they're saying that a movie costed $300 million to make, it probably costed $500 million to make. They constantly lie pretty much about everything. They don't even disclose marketing costs, honestly, for these movies. They will downplay everything to look that they are not absolutely collapsing and crumbling.
Well over that amount if we take into consideration the company's releases towards the end of 2022, and Disney's dire streak has no end in sight with the Marvels, formerly Captain Marvel 2, set to be their next big release. As of now, all signs are pointing to this movie being the next in a long line of massive flops, and it seems regardless of the unanimously poor reception to recent trailers, the film was doomed to fail from the start. Because this is a sequel to Captain Marvel, probably one of the most unpopular films amongst the MCU's core audience. I mean, the first Captain Marvel was an early example of Disney's now all too familiar, low-effort storytelling in a woke package meant to shield it from legitimate criticism. And since then, Disney has made this their MO. Despite its critical and commercial acclaim, the first film was extremely.
The critical acclaim was that this movie was horrible, but Disney did not care, okay? Captain Marvel, when it released, she was supposed to be the new face of the MCU, by the way. Brie Larson was supposed to be the flagship torch-carrying beacon of light in the darkness for the future of the MCU. And they said that if you do not watch the Brie Larson Captain Marvel movie, you will not understand a single thing that happens at the end of Endgame. The final anticipated climax of a beloved series, okay? And also your head will explode if you don't go watch Captain Marvel. That also. And a lot of people did. And they regretted it. There was a lot of regret. There were literally YouTube channels that got a foothold and started becoming big because of how bad Captain Marvel was. There's not a single person that liked Captain Marvel. Though I do think Brie Larson is hot, so, there's that. But that's a different story.
Extremely controversial amongst fans, with many of them criticizing the character's lack of depth and backstory compared to other heroes in the franchise. Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, is
Why does a perfect hero need a backstory? Why does a perfect thing, I don't know what do we even honestly call those, needs a personality? Isn't it enough that they're just perfect? I think it's enough if they're just perfect, and Hollywood agrees with that.
Depicted not only as the strongest hero in the MCU, but completely infallible, with no discernible physical or personality weakness. She defeats every enemy with ease, and this tends to cause any true conflict to vanish when she's on screen. And now this isn't completely unheard of considering Superman's depictions for DC, which also face similar criticism. However, unlike Superman, Captain Marvel suffers from corny
Superman's biggest problem is the same as Batman's biggest problem. It's just boring. At the end of the day, the writers always have a way out with Superman to just say, oh, he was holding back. Because he's always holding back. And that's what makes him boring. Batman is going to take a piece of hair from a camel's nose and then screw drive it to something, and there you go. A MacGuffin that saves the universe from explosion. How many times can you watch Batman just magically, pull something out of his ass and save the universe again and again and again until it gets boring? But at least they have some charm. At least they're good, nicely written, except the parts that they are too smart and too powerful. Our girl Brie Larson may be as hot as she is. And I will not accept anyone not calling her hot, okay? Maybe she has an ass stunt double, but that's fine. She has been working on it recently, okay? She has been doing sit-ups. That's all you need to do, by the way. you know, there's no redeeming qualities for Captain Marvel. If Superman has a good side and Batman has a good side, she doesn't have any of that, okay? She's just the bestest ever, as anything that Disney creates.
Girl-boss dialogue and abysmal character development that comes along when a woke initiative is put above good storytelling. When writers are too afraid to make their characters vulnerable in any way in order to protect the demographic they represent, the story and the character inevitably suffer. And although the first film performed well critically and commercially, it was released during a time where superhero films and particularly Marvel films could do no wrong. It was also released between the two most popular MCU films of all time and contained story elements that were integral to connecting that story. Fans, despite making their
It doesn't actually contain any of those story elements. That's the thing. DC just not DC, but Marvel and Disney just lied to you, so you watch it in the first place.
opinions heard online were hardly gonna miss it. So fast forward to now. Marvel fatigue is at an all-time high, with Disney forcing out uninspired project after uninspired project. And finally it seems that core
Oh, look at that! It's the Little Mermaid. That didn't flop like a disaster that it is. Yeah. I'm just waiting until Disney, race swaps Tarzan to be, a black guy who acts like a monkey in the jungle. Can't wait until that happens. Well, maybe it won't happen. Who honestly knows?
Marvel fans.
But at least something's safe from the woke agenda.
Now actually starting to check out, staying home from theaters and cancelling their Disney Plus subscriptions. Recent Marvel projects are struggling to reach a fraction of the heights they were reaching 5 years ago. And the worst part is, Disney seems content with losing business from core Marvel fans, doubling down on these woke flops that pander to non-existent subsections of fans who supposedly care more about being represented than being represented well in a solid story. Combine this fatigue with the MCU and aversion to Captain Marvel as a character with the already countless production setbacks that the Marvels has experienced, and we
But it's not just the fact that the Marvels has, Captain Brie Larson in it. It's also the fact that they have Kamala King, okay? Kamala King, she had her own show, by the way, which roughly around -2 people watched. And those people who are -2 somehow still decide to end their Minecraft character's existence after watching it. Like, again, Kamala King had an actual show, okay? Let that sink in. Do you know about that? No. It was so bad no one even wanted to talk about it. I mean, we've been hitting next levels when the show is so bad that no one even wants to talk about its existence, and everyone would rather just forget that it ever saw the light of day in the first place. Yeah, that's also a character that's in this movie. And it's a big role, in fact. It's a lead role, in fact, which is bad because there's not a single person who likes Kamala King. She's as shit as it gets.
We may see one of their biggest cinematic catastrophes yet. Disney knows this, and it's clear that Disney is doing everything they can to polish the turd that the Marvels is destined to be. They've already changed the name of the movie and pushed back the release date to spend time and money on reshooting scenes and improving visual effects despite already sinking over 270.
What's the point of improving visual effects? No one cares if they're good or bad. If they're bad, we're gonna laugh. If they're good, we're not gonna notice. I mean, what are we gonna do? Add more
visual effects
Brie Larson
despite already
shots like this where we try to pretend that my wife has a cleavage. My wife doesn't have a good cleavage. I'm not gonna lie, Brie. I'm sorry, honey, but it is what it is. I mean, it's reasonable, but still.
Sinking over $270 million into this movie, not to mention the exceptionally short runtime, especially for a Marvel film, and it seems they'll have their hands full. Even the film's director is distancing herself from the film before its release, claiming the movie was mostly out of her control and
also this character right here, I think it's Spectre, I don't remember. No one cares. Like, no one could care less.
admitting to being confused, just like the rest of us, by the increasingly muddied, oversaturated, and seemingly aimless intersecting plotlines of the current MCU. And even worse, Disney seems to be tone deaf to the criticism of the cringe comedy scene in recent projects. I'm talking about things like She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel, touting the Marvels as being more wacky and silly than other MCU movies. And we can see by recent trailers for the Marvels that fan criticism has indeed fallen on deaf ears, and that Disney has contempt for its core fans, and that anyone who seeks to criticize recent projects like She-Hulk She-Hulk and Miss Marvel as simply being misogynistic and politically.
Obviously, She-Hulk was perfect and adoring and likable and yeah, I can't even I can't even lie enough to protect this. Nope. It was shit.
Politically incorrect.
Everyone knows
and
it.
based on what we've seen, the Marvels is leaning into the cringe writing, deathless characters, and empty storytelling that fans have been rejecting for years.
Oh, look at that. It's female Thanos because obviously reasons.
Only that, Disney added lead roles for characters from wildly unsuccessful Marvel projects that nobody watched or cared about, presumably in an effort to diversify the cast. Now don't get me wrong here, female-led and diverse films can be great for Hollywood. In an industry where the underrepresentation and misrepresentation of minority groups has always been a problem, more of these films are needed, and they've even proven to have the capacity to be successful amongst white male audiences. Look no further than Barbie for a recent example of a female-led and directed film that successfully.
That's true, but the Barbie failed on a fundamental aspect. The Barbie is a miracle because the Barbie tried to be woke, but it ended up. Being woke is not even the right way to describe it. Essentially, the thing about Barbie is it just ended up with Barbie saying, yeah, the patriarchy is actually pretty awesome. Let's keep everything as this. That's what the Barbie ended up with. And that's how it just went. I don't know if that was intended, but that's kind of what everyone got from Barbie at the end. The patriarchy's kind of awesome.
Appealed to the masses, all whilst telling a story that captivated audience, making over $1 billion at the box office. And over the years you can point to films like the original Black Panther, Crazy Rich Asians, and Coco, which all made plenty of money at the box office while still being able to tell rich stories with characters who have depth. Not to mention all of the Oscar-nominated films with non-white and non-male leads in recent years. Effective representation can be accomplished in a way that doesn't.
I mean, who didn't watch Squid Games? Yeah. Also, what the fuck is this? Did someone put Jada Pinkett Smith as a bald fairy?
Feel like mere pandering, but only if the creators care enough to put the effort in. Instead, Disney continuously checks the boxes of representation without putting the necessary resources into the stories their casts are attached to, doing it more for investment funds and looking great politically rather than trying to tell a good story. And by tethering actors from underrepresented groups to stories that are terrible, Disney isn't actually doing these groups any favors either. In fact, they're probably actually hurting these groups, as these actors are now becoming a lightning rod for inevitable online backlash surrounding disappointing release after
Yep. Hey. Stereotypes work. When I see a typical Vogue Disney movie stereotype trailer, I know what I'm expecting. I know what it's gonna be, and it always is that. It works wonders. Thank you, Disney. At least they have created very visible red flags for us. We no longer have to guess if something gonna be shit instantaneously. It's just the flags are there, you know?
Disappointing release for beloved franchises. Now, it is always easy to blame the woke agenda and race-war casting for the problems that actually have to do with exceptionally lazy storytelling, and it sets back any real progress that Hollywood is supposedly hoping to make to be inclusive. Ultimately, Hollywood just needs to tell good stories.
Namor. I still can't get over the fact. Hello, my fellow Latinx. I am Namor. That's gonna go over so well.
When these big studios are doing this for the investment scores from BlackRock and Vanguard, when they're doing it to appease their corporate shareholders, it seems like this is an impossible feat for them. Hollywood can have more diverse casts. This isn't the full problem here, but the stories need to be good enough to effectively platform their talents in order for it to matter. And if you don't believe me, just take a look at Marvel's philosophy on writing in recent years, especially when it comes to their TV series on Disney+, where it was revealed that MCU shows have completely done away with showrunners. And if you don't know what a showrunner does, they typically come from a writing background and oversee all creative aspects of a series, maintaining a cohesive vision across multiple episodes of the same series. They effectively run the show, and Disney has
Wait, they still have showrunners. What?
chosen to do away with this position on recent projects in an effort to save.
Have they? I think aren't showrunners like the main thing that we are complaining about currently on Disney? Have they actually gotten away with the role? I haven't heard that. Huh?
Money, And as we've already covered, their recent stories has
Also, it's like the showrunners didn't help previously, so getting rid of them technically doesn't change anything because, okay, it's like, okay, you got rid of the showrunner. Yeah, well, the last five things that they released, the showrunner didn't help at all. So, yeah, getting rid of them kind of seems logical, honestly, at this point.
suffered immensely being criticized for their pacing, their cohesion, and their overall tone. Most of their movies now just feel like woke pandering, where you get lectured when you want to be entertained. And it's this philosophy on
Because they are. It's not complicated, they just are.
cutting costs when it comes to the creative behind their projects that is translating into their recent films. Instead of recruiting experienced directors or screenwriters at the top of their game, Marvel seems content on investing in unproven and inexperienced writers with minimal credits to their name. And this wouldn't be a problem if Disney was
Some of them are inexperienced and whatnot. One of these big movies was done by a director that had absolutely no experience. In fact, a lot of Netflix shows currently, and like Disney things like Loki, I don't think is an example of that. But you know, shows like Loki are actually made by people with zero experience in the field, and they have gotten there because they just, subscribe to the right politics that their friends subscribe. And, well, the real world works on friendships, not actual skills. If you know someone, congratulations. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Always remember that. And I think how Hollywood functions and works is a great example of it. Because, man, we have seen it a lot of times. If you look up the directors, the showrunners of like the past, I don't know, 10 shows and 10 movies that Marvel has done or Netflix has done, you're gonna find a bunch of crazy people who have no experience, no background in directing, casting, or anything, who are just woke lunatics who know the right people. You're gonna find a lot of them. It's quite insane. And because that is happening, by the way, it's not like we can get rid of these problems, because they already have their foot in the door, okay? Even if you get rid of the ideology, the people are still gonna pursue it in some way, shape, or form because they all believe in it. They're crazy.
willing to offer them the support they need once the project starts. But the Marvels doesn't mark the first time a director has expressed their veiled frustration with their lack of control or lack of discernible vision from executives on a Disney project. And as a result, the differences between modern Marvel projects and the Marvel projects of yesteryear are night and day to audiences now. But it never used to be this way. In fact, to understand how Marvel even came up with the awful idea of the Marvels, we need to understand the MCU at its core and what made it so successful. And it's kind of a tragic story.
Good stories.
You see, the genesis of the MCU was marked by Iron Man in 2008, a film that not only breathed new life into Robert Downey Jr.'s career, but also laid the foundational stone for what would burgeon into a cinematic colossus. The idea of interconnected storytelling across multiple movies
The Hulk movies, don't even remind me.
was a gamble that paid off extremely well, captivating audiences worldwide. The subsequent releases leading up to the monumental The Avengers in 2012 were incredibly well received and heralded a new era of blockbuster filmmaking. The phenomenon of The Avengers showcased the potential of a shared universe on a grand scale, both critically and commercially, cementing the MCU's status as a formidable force in the entertainment industry. And then the following era, from 2013 to 2018, can be termed as the golden era of the MCU, where Marvel had gem after gem, gold after gold, new pinnacles of success with films like Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther.
True. By the way, Guardians of the Galaxy just show everyone how good writing just is the only thing that matters. Because people are using this example constantly currently. It's like, oh, who cares about this hero? No one cares about them. They're lame. No one knows about them. Why make a movie about them? No one asked. Yeah, no one asked about the Guardians of the Galaxy also. I had no idea who the Guardians of the Galaxy are, okay? Until these shows. I had absolutely no clue. And no one did. But guess what? Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the best things Marvel has ever done, honestly. I love those movies. They're absolutely great. So, you don't need, obviously, a well-established, known and already beloved character to make something great. You just need to make the product good. I know it's a joke, I know it's kind of funny, but it is just the truth of the world. If you make as long as it's good, it's just good, and that's all it is. It doesn't matter if it's Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man, or whatever. As long as you just make it good, people are gonna like it. It could be a name you have never heard before in your life, but, you know, it's gonna be, as long as it's good, it's gonna win. It is what it is. The Pixar movie with the fire spirits, not fire spirits, but the water and fire spirit thing. Yeah, everyone thought that that's gonna be a flop, including me. Well, turns out it wasn't. Guess what? That movie started making money because people were saying, hey, it's good. It's good. Guess what? No one asked those people who said it's good. Wait, why is it good? They just said it's good, and that's it. Movie made money. Imagine that. Make movie that's not terrible, make money. Wow. So complicated, I know.
And Avengers Infinity War. These films were not merely commercial juggernauts, but were also praised for their compelling storytelling, nuanced character development, and cultural renaissance. Black Panther.
I don't know about cultural character development, honestly, in a lot of cases. I would not say that it was that huge or that. Like, don't get me wrong, there was character development, but let's not oversell it, okay? There wasn't that much character development in the movie. There was some, but it was explosive, fast, and, you know, just a benchmark that we see what happened, which is good. But again, it wasn't some in-depth super character development. Let's not overstate that part, okay?
Was a milestone, receiving praise in a good way for its progressivism, actually exploring African culture and identity, effectively proving.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of blacks in America do think Wakanda is a real place. I wish I could tell you I was joking, but no. There's a... bruh. I mean, Wakanda forever, my dudes. It is what it be, okay? If only the whites didn't exist, Wakanda would be real. We all feel it in our hearts, okay?
Proving that diversity and representation could be achieved without being sanctimonious, preachy, and compromising on the storytelling.
I mean, Black Panther was still slight preachy, especially the villain of the series, okay? Who, by the way, technically didn't do anything wrong, been by Wakandan law, by the way. But that's a different story, honestly. He was still a little bit preachy, okay? Black Panther was very much designed to actually be this thing that is preachy and for, you know, the black community. Okay, let's not pretend that wasn't exactly the case.
In quality. However, the post-2019 phase, following the climax of Avengers Endgame, marked a transitional period for the MCU, as it ventured into uncharted territories with new characters and story arcs. While films like Spider-Man Far From Home continue to charm audiences, others, like Captain Marvel, received mixed reviews, with critics often targeting this perceived lack of depth in storytelling and character development.
Perceived lack of depth or extremely obvious on the nose non-existential depth? I don't know. One or the other. Anyway, that's it for the video. If you want to watch the rest, that was our boy Moon. Does he have an outro screen even? No, he doesn't. Anyway, Moon, everyone. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sid saying thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.